There it is, guys. Ireland secure the win in a very close match there in Dublin, taking the victory 19 points to 12 over Scotland. I'm going to break it down now, guys, because we got a number of answers to questions that we had before this tournament started in terms of how teams would play and how teams would perform with a number of key players out. Kia ora everyone, my name is Zach. I love rugby. Welcome back to Hakatime Rugby. So I think the first place we have to start, guys, is really celebrate the performance from Scotland. Coming into this game, there were a lot of questions around how they would perform without Finn Russell there. Obviously, the disruption between Finn Russell and Gregor Townsend is starting to come to the surface. Some disruption that they have in the camp there. It's all starting to bubble to the surface. That, as well as a key guy like Darcy Graham being out. There were a lot of questions coming into the Six Nations on how Scotland would perform and whether or not they could galvanise to put a good performance on the track. We got the answer to that. The answer was absolutely yes, they can. They were excellent, and it was all driven by their forward pack, who were physical, menacing in the breakdown, and were able to get a number of penalties at the set piece as well. I thought scrum time, they were excellent. Even defence of the line-out, you notice that a lot of the times when Ireland would secure the ball off the line-out, Scotland would really target that maul to try and disrupt and try and hold the ball up. They got turnovers a number of times on that occasion. And in general play, guys like Watson, guys like Johnny Gray, guys like even Xander Fagerson were extremely dominant there in general play, and were able to turn balls over throughout that match. I thought it was fantastic, and it almost feels like the one that got away from a Scotland perspective. They had opportunities to win this match, a number of really, really good opportunities, but just couldn't convert those chances. I will touch on the try from, or the no try by Stuart Hogg, but it just felt like this one was a bit of the one that got away. From an Irish perspective, job is done, and some of the major questions we had coming into this tournament were how would this team perform? How would they? What strategies would they use? With Joe Schmidt gone and now with Andy Farrell there in the hot seat. And it's very much a case of evolution over revolution is what we're starting to see here. We saw a lot of that traditional Irish attack, one out the ruck, strong forward interplay. But we saw that mixed with a couple of, a little bit of variety in the back line. There were two breaks in particular which highlighted this variety. The try from Johnny Sexton was one, and that was built out of a dart from Conor Murray, out of the ruck, and then almost using Sexton as a second receiver around the back of the attack line. And that was interesting, very, very interesting variety. It obviously caught Scotland off guard there, and they were able to secure the try. The other major break that we saw, Jordan Lama got a break very early in the first half, and that was again built off Johnny Sexton as a second receiver. That is certainly something that we don't see too often with Ireland. So I think that little bit of additional variety really helped them in a couple of key moments. Would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that, but certainly a case of adding additional bows to the strings to the bow, resulting in good outcomes there for Ireland. They weren't able to match the physical battle throughout the game, and for that reason, they just couldn't continue to build pressure throughout the match and score points on the back of that. But the very, very trusty boot of Johnny Sexton kept them well out in terms of distance from Scotland. Anytime Scotland came back, Ireland seemed to push out, and they were able to control this match very, very well. So while the score looks pretty close, and it was a great performance by Scotland, it was also a great example of game management there from Ireland. I thought they were just able to keep an arm's distance away from Scotland and secure the win in the end. A couple of points that we will raise on the Scottish performance. Now, first thing I want to talk about, let's talk about Xander Fagerson and Rory Sutherland. So to me, those two guys were the best performing props in the Six Nations this week. And if I was to name a team of the week, those two guys would be there. They were fantastic in this match. In terms of set piece battle, scrum time, they were extremely dominant. And in general play, they were fantastic. So great work from them. Johnny Gray was typically strong, powerful, disruptive, good in the line out. Great work from him. But also, I was really interested in the loose forward battle in this game. And what we saw, I think, was Scotland got on top a lot of the loose forward battle. Now, Kalen Doris to go off early, and it's a real shame for a guy who I think I have very, very high praise for, and who I think is going to be a mainstay in this Irish pack for some time. He showed his worth even in the first 4 minutes, able to secure a turnover, and I think if we can get him on the field, he's going to really show promise in this Six Nations tournament and for Ireland for a long time to come. So he really deserves an opportunity to try and recover from those concussions. And ultimately, when he does get on the field, I think he's going to be a mainstay in this team. So it's a case of no real rush needed for him overall. Let him fix his issues and then come back stronger as a result of that. But Peter O'Mahony, more than a capable replacement, comes in. And this loose forward trio just looked like, essentially a Lions trio. CJ Stander, Josh Van der Fleer, Peter O'Mahony. And they were good. Don't get me wrong, they were very, very good. They were able to stand up against a lot of the disruptive work and also secure turnovers themselves. CJ Stander got the man of the match. I thought it was pretty close between CJ Stander and Peter O'Mahony for man of the match. But on the other side of the ball, guys like, I thought Hamish Watson was fantastic in this match. And that battle at loose forward time was really, really close. But I'd probably give the overall loose forward / breakdown battle, I'd probably give that win to Scotland. They were able to disrupt, they were able to score turnovers, and they were able to really control the match in certain areas in field play. Where they struggled was to really convert points. Let's talk about Adam Hastings. So obviously Finn Russell, not available, made himself unavailable for selection. So a lot was being made about the performance of Adam Hastings. Overall mixed bag, I thought. In patches he was very, very good. In other patches he missed kicks. He was, thrown around a little bit in defence, and that's got to be a concern. I mean, he doesn't look like a small guy, but he seems to, when he hits contact, he sort of braces like a small guy and gets thrown around a little bit. So that'll be a concern for him overall. He's certainly got to start getting used to that level of physicality at Six Nations at international level, because it doesn't get any easier, believe me. So with that said, he's still a young guy. He's still building his performances. He will get better. But overall, I thought it was a mixed bag for him right off the bat. No cause for concern. I think you continue to persevere with him. He's shown enough there. And even at club level, he's shown a lot. So I would say he's shown enough there to certainly get a number of additional chances. And they should be persevering with him. I want to talk about Conor Murray. I thought he had a really mixed bag as well. The calls for the inclusion of John Cooney, I think, are only going to intensify now. Cooney, a great player, certainly needs an opportunity. But given, they went with Murray here for Scotland, would they take that risk against Wales, who are the next team, to bring in John Cooney and put your faith in him as the starting halfback? That would be a very, very brave call, but who knows? They may look to make that call to try and refresh the team and get a bit more energy in the team, but it's a very, very brave call to make that. Jordan Lama, I thought, had a good game. At his usual attacking flair there, and as I said, was able to get a couple of crucial runs. I do think if they design a few more plays with that style of variety in mind, they can probably use him very, very effectively down that centre channel. And this is one battle that I'm going to be interested in against Wales, is how is that battle around the centre channel going to play out? They've shown here that through Johnny Sexton as a second receiver, and with a guy like Jordan Lama running that link play on the outside, that they are really targeting that centre channel. I thought overall George North had some issues there in defensive reads, and for that reason I'm expecting teams to target him. So keep an eye on that one. Well, we may see some traffic going down George North's direction, and we may see continuation of those plays that were executed in this game, with Johnny Sexton looping around, taking the second receiver ball and linking through Jordan Lama, who's doing that link play around the outside. Let's talk about Stuart Hogg and that try, that close try. Basically, terrible execution there. Dropped the ball over the line. Now, I can't be too critical of him in this one because, I'm going to reveal a little bit here, guys, but I've played rugby most of my life. Stopped playing maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I have done exactly this before in my day. I've been over the line, unopposed, no one around me, and dropped the ball when trying to ground it. Yes, it's laziness, it's poor technique for sure, but it doesn't make it any easier. I remember that feeling. The first thing you do is you try and run it off. The next thing you do is you try to celebrate, give an impression of confidence so that hopefully you get the try called. But when you hear that whistle and when you hear the result that unfortunately you knocked the ball and the ref's gone the other way, it's a sinking feeling. So I did like what he did there, especially as captain. Own up to it, go and high five your team, apologize for your mistake, and then move on. That's exactly the correct way to do it. So I don't think people will dwell too much on this one. But that said, it does feel like this game was the one that got away a little bit for Scotland. A couple of other things. So there were a couple of missed chances there from Adam Hastings that could have kept the scoreboard close as well. Unfortunately, missed some kicks that really didn't help. But what do you guys make of the exclusion of Finn Russell? Because if you look at that forward performance, and if you looked at a guy like Adam Hastings had a mixed bag, could a guy like Finn Russell really make a huge difference in that and secure the win? I was watching that game thinking, with front foot ball here, with the forwards going forward, disrupting the ball, great in defence, and moving forward, Finn Russell would have had a field day in that game. And with his ability to attack the line, his ability to kick into the corners, I just felt like, if Gregor Townsend and Finn Russell could get over these issues, this could be a very competitive Scottish team. And if he was on the field, I think they would have won that game. Let me know what you think about that call, because, we will never know, but, it just highlights the importance of getting your best players on the field, and really the importance of Gregor Townsend and Finn Russell sorting it out so we can get the best performance on the field. That's all I have to say about this, guys. A couple of big games coming up now. So obviously Ireland will be facing Wales. I spoke a little bit about that. I'm starting to see strategy from both sides now and how they're going to look to play this game with new coaching in the box there. So I'm starting to formulate an opinion on how I think the game will go. And I'm going to drop a video when I do the preview on what I think the keys to success are and who ultimately wins that game. For Scotland, they're going to host England, coming off a loss, obviously, in France. Both teams coming off a loss, but with that improved performance by Scotland and with the issues that England had there in France, I would say that Scotland fancy their chances here. They certainly, after last year's draw, they will fancy their chances here. I just hope Finn Russell can sort it out with Gregor Townsend. We can get him on the field and we can see the best players in the Six Nations. That's it from me, guys. Thank you again for joining. Lots more Six Nations content coming. Please hit like if you like this video. Comment down below. I like to engage. I respond to most comments, but I certainly like to engage in discussion. And I find there's a high quality of comments that we get in the comments section. So I want to hear what you have to say about tactics, about selections, about rugby in general, because I love talking rugby. That's why I run this channel, and I want to talk to you. Subscribe to the channel as well, guys, because lots more content coming throughout the Six Nations. Continue to enjoy the rugby. I'll see you guys back here soon.